Our products are, bar none, some of the greatest things ever to find their way into the market. The effect they have on people's lives is dramatic, and it is very, very real. Now, to make sure that we have great products, you can't have great products without a certain amount of science and research and knowledge and understanding and reality to them, and we have all of those things. Today, it is my great pleasure to welcome to the stage 4 of our medical advisors, and we're going to have a discussion with them. This is going to be terrific, and now bear with me as I introduce each of them. Dr. Claire Francomano is a physician specializing in internal medicine, medical genetics, and molecular genetics. I was going to take those classes in junior high, but they were full. The founding clinical director of the National Human Genome Institute of the National Institute of Health. She is on the part-time faculty at the Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine and serves as director of adult genetics at the Harvey Institute of Human Genetics in Baltimore, Maryland. Please welcome Dr. Claire Francomano. Next, Dr. Barry Tan earned his PhD in analytical chemistry at the University of Otago, New Zealand, and later became a professor of chemistry and food science nutrition at the University of Massachusetts. He was the first to introduce tocotrienol's benefits to our nutritional industry and developed the first ever tocopherol-free tocotrienol product derived from the annatto bean. Today, the focus of his research is on phytonutrients that have an impact on chronic and degenerative diseases. Please welcome Dr. Barry Tan. Next. Dr. Tom Burke is retired from the University of Colorado Medical School and has worked in the field of nitric oxide since 1992. Upon hearing the first reports about the noni plant years ago, his suspicions were that the health and wellness benefits of noni may have something to do with nitric oxide, and his suspicions turned out to be right. Please welcome Dr. Tom Burke. And finally, Dr. Abbas Qutab is head of Kyani Scientific and Medical Advisory Board. He also plays a role in the formulation and quality control of Kyani products. He holds degrees in medicine, chiropractic medicine, and a PhD in Ayurvedic medicine. He is the co-author of several books in the field of integrative medicine and is the author of Nitric Oxide, the Molecule of Life. He is currently in private practice in Massachusetts, seeing people from all around the world. He has trained thousands of physicians in implementing integrative medicine in their practice. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Qutab. Dr. Francomano, we hear a lot about free radicals. What are exactly free radicals?
Well, in the context we are discussing today, free radicals are unpaired electrons.
Okay. So what are free radicals? Unpaired electrons. Okay, good.
Electrons like to be in pairs. They're kind of like people.
Okay.
And whenever there's one that doesn't have a mate, it goes looking for another one.
Go figure.
So what happens is those free electrons, they go and they steal another electron from some other atom that has 2. And then that leaves another one without a mate, and then that one goes looking for another one, and so on down the road. It just generates more and more and more free radicals.
So it's a consecutive chain of robbery.
Exactly.
Okay. Do we all have them? Does everyone have them?
We have free radicals up the wazoo.
Okay. Okay, so now tell me, how do they affect me? How do they affect me, my family members? What do they do?
Well, there is a huge amount of data out there that suggests that free radicals play a very important role in many, many different disease processes.
In or outside of the wazoo?
In and out.
Okay, all right.
So we know certain types of cancer, cataracts, heart disease, many different conditions are really directly caused by excess free radicals, and very, very sound science establishes this.
Okay, so we know this happens.
This is true.
Now, we almost always hear in the same conversational context with free radicals, we hear the word antioxidant. Now, I will tell you, this is Kent. When I first heard it, I thought, well, heavens, why do I want something that's anti-oxygen? I mean, I like oxygen. I want, what antioxidants? What is that?
Well, this process, the process of oxidation is very much related to the free radical damage that we're talking about. And
Okay.
so the antioxidants are molecules that provide electrons to kind of mitigate those free radicals that are out there and prevent free radical damage.
Oxidation as in rusting. I mean, actual rusting going on.
That's Dr. Q-Tab's favorite analogy, and I love it. I think it's very, very accurate.
Well, he's a lovable guy.
He is.
Yes, he is. Okay, so we know about the free radicals. We all have them. They're not good. The antioxidants help us to overcome them. What does Kyani Sunrise do to help us with antioxidants?
Well, Kyani Sunrise is a powerhouse of an antioxidant product. The wild Alaskan blueberry that forms the base is one of the most powerful antioxidant fruits in the world. And combined with their 9 additional products, superfoods, in the Kyani Sunrise, and roll those all together, you have very, very powerful antioxidant capability. Now, it's important to mention that the Sunrise is water soluble. So those antioxidants fight off the oxidative process or the rusting that goes on in the water in the body. And we have water soluble and lipid soluble antioxidants. Dr. Tan's going to tell you about the lipids.
So when they say your pipes are rusting, it's an actual term, okay? So remember that. All right. Now, we have great products. Sunrise is spectacular. Why is it better than, different than, greater than other juice supplements?
Well, I think the base of the product with the wild Alaskan blueberry is really very, very crucial. I love to hear the pals talk about how they came to find out about the wild Alaskan blueberry. And the fact that we get 100% of the recommended daily allowance of our vitamins and minerals and the nutrients that we all need in order to function properly, that is another really important element of the Kyani Sunrise.
Okay, so everyone got that. Free radicals, bad. Antioxidants, good. Kyani Sunrise, best.
Excellent.
We got that, okay? Thank you, Dr. Frankman. Let's pass the mic over to Dr. Tan.
Thank you.
Now, Dr. Tan, she's a hard act to follow.
I know.
Okay, you do your best. Now, it is well documented that tocotrienols may help improve heart health, correct? Can you explain why?
Tocotrienol work. In fact, tocotrienol was first discovered, differentiated from tocopherol, because of its ability to lower cholesterol. And excess cholesterol would tend to deposit on the artery. Not a good thing. So that's one. And secondly, tocotrienol worked to reduce arteriosclerosis, the actual plaquing of the artery. There are other things that cause that besides cholesterol. Inflammation is one of them, excess calcium is one of them, oxidized lipids that Dr. Franco mentioned is also one of them like that. So arteriosclerosis, it also worked to reduce that. And the third one is to lower triglyceride. A type of fat also found in the body, not frequently spoken of. When it becomes important is when people with diabetes. Before they have high sugar, they have high triglyceride. So when you get your lipid profile, usually looking at the cholesterol, look harder at the triglyceride. If the triglyceride is high, then you're approaching the point where your diabetes may turn on. And when it does turn on, that's when your sugar will go up. But triglyceride go up first before the sugar. And even if someone is a diabetic, the sugar will be up, the triglyceride is also up. So there you have it. And the last one, American Diabetes Association talks about the blood being thick or the blood being hypercoagulating. What this means is that the blood is tethering rather than flowing through your artery. It sticks onto your artery like Velcro. That's not a good thing for the blood to do. And tocotrienol is able to develcronize the flow of the blood. One of the family of carotenes is uniquely found in insects and flies, and is found in salmon because salmon eat flies and they pick it up from there. And that's why wild-caught salmon are intensely red compared to the one that you buy from farm salmon. This particular astaxanthin is very potent as an antioxidant in the very, very lipid area. That means in the core of the lipid. Tocotrienol is a lipid antioxidant closer to the surface of the core. So together when they act, then they're able to do a 1-2 punch, protecting the lipid layer even better. I answer your other question.
Yes, you did. You leapt ahead. Okay, so wait a minute. Let me try to understand this correctly. And I'm just speaking for all of you. This astaxanthin actually is found in flies that the wild Alaskan sockeye salmon eat.
Yes.
And this acid is very good for us. It's a powerful antioxidant.
Very good. That's why people do fly fishing.
So if you don't want to go get your astaxanthin from flies yourself, it's a better way. Let the fish eat them, then you get it.
Yeah, and the unusual part of this is in the sunset, it is both the wild Alaskan sockeye salmon oil containing the astaxanthin, that's why they're maroonish red color, plus the annatto tocotrienol, the bean tocotrienol, and the two of them makes it super effective, particularly as a lipid antioxidant. I can't imagine anything else having that kind of a function.
So it kind of delivers, the sunset delivers kind of a 1-2 punch. I mean, it's two for the price of one.
That's right.
Okay. What role do tocotrienols play with cancer cells?
This is a biggie. Right now, many researchers are studying this, and the areas being studied for cancer are breast, prostate, lung, colorectum, pancreas, and skin.
Well, that kind of covers all the bad ones. I mean, that kind of covers it.
And of these 6, the 2 of them that survive into clinical studies are breast and pancreas. And the pancreas is fantastic, the study. You can Google and read for yourself. Dramatic. You want to ask how it works?
Yes, what role do they play? I could go wait over there.
Somehow you can figure out the question was pre-scripted before, you know?
They had no idea.
Well, yeah, that's right.
No.
Well, there are many tender to how cancer can become after. Well, one of the strongest one is angiogenesis. This is to say that when the cancer grows to about 1 to 2 millimeter, it's unable to get enough nutrient from the surrounding. It's got to have piping to support the phenomenal growth of the tumor. So you begin to drill holes on the nearby blood vessel. That growing of new blood vessel is called angiogenesis, done by the tumor. The ability of the tocotrienol is to chop off this blood supply, hence starving the tumor to death. Therefore, tocotrienol strategy to kill cancer is an anti-angiogenic agent.
Well, yeah, an anti-angiogenic agent. Thank you. Okay, there has been some recent research that I have heard about from this group that is really very exciting, and specifically for me and the relationship that I have with Japan and what's gone on there in the northern area, especially as a result of the tsunami and the terrible tragedy with the nuclear reactor there. But there's been some new research on tocotrienols and radiation. Tell me about that.
This is even shocking to me. Last week I went to Bethesda at the Uniformed Services University, and the U.S. government is behind this. And I've been studying tocotrienol for 30 years and didn't know about this. And there's a story. If you want to know the story how I got into this, you have to come to my table. The rest of tonight or tomorrow, I have a PowerPoint to show. About 30 people in this room have a chance to see this, and you'll be hearing more of this. I'll give you the short lowdown. Because of radiation countermeasure, you see the way it's said, the U.S. government is concerned that if someone were to aggress on us using radiation, how would we protect ourselves? How would we protect our U.S. Army in harm's way going to a hot spot such as this? And it is true, there wasn't in Iraq, but the potential is there in Iran, North Korea, and Pakistan, and other countries too, and that this could be a war. So they're interested in how to have this countermeasure. Another way of radiation protection is for nuclear disasters, such as what is happening in Japan.
Right.
And by the way, we have 104 nuclear power plants in the U.S. Almost all of them is in the eastern half of the United States. Almost all of them are old, and all have renewed by the U.S. government when they're supposed to have 40 years of life, and they've been extended for another 20 years. So the old 40 is now the new 60. So we, you know, and then, and
the old 40 is now the new 60.
Right.
To be careful about
Oh, that's
Okay.
all right. Now, so we have reason to be concerned for protection. And of course, we don't have enough oil, and normal oil is, we don't have enough oil. Oil is going up in price, and nuclear power is cheap. And of course, any mistake made can be devastating like that. And the third, and I mean, all this is what the US government is doing. I have a third application, and that is in cancer radiology, oncologic radiation, and that also is harmful. What they found when they studied hundreds of different compounds, as I attended the last week, out of 17 talks, 6 candidates show up that come to the United States government stuff. Of the 6, 3 of them are nutritional supplement. And of the 3, 2 of them are tocotrienol.
Wow.
I was shocked, man. And of the 2 tocotrienol, there's delta tocotrienol and gamma tocotrienol. Voila, that's exactly what is in your sunset, man. and I have nothing to do with it.
Well, I will tell you, if you were shocked, man, I'm stunned, man. I can tell you that. Well, that is terrific. Thank you very much. That is great,
But
great
remember,
news.
I like to have the extended thing. Come and talk to me. I'll show you the simple PowerPoint, and my wonderful son Harrison will be delighted to show you a few of those slides.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Tan. Okay, now let's talk with the new 60, Dr. Burke.
I didn't say that.
I didn't say that. He said that. I'm just following up. I'm just following. Okay, Dr. Burke, you were involved in the initial research in NitroFX, correct?
Yes, sir.
Could you tell us a little bit about that, please?
It was a remarkable occurrence. I met a gentleman who told me some strange things about a plant from the South Pacific, and I couldn't believe it as a scientist. He told me that this plant was used for several thousand years to heal wounds, get rid of pain, decrease inflammation, help with childbirth, migraine headaches. It would do everything. And I said, well, if it does everything, it can't do anything. He said, would you give it a shot? So we took some noni plant, put it on some cells. I'm not going to bore you with the details. And sure enough, what I had expected to happen was that nitric oxide levels would go up in and around the cells. And sure enough, it did.
Wow. Okay, so you believe, as a result of your research, that Kyani does indeed have a superior nitric oxide product, correct?
Absolutely, yes, unequivocally.
Why is that?
Well, I've seen the evidence that nitric oxide goes up. We never knew why at the beginning. There's an enzyme in all of our bodies that produce nitric oxide, so I thought that may be the source. But on further investigation and with the help of the CEO Council and the people in higher management, we determined that there's a lot of nitrates and nitrites found within the plant itself, in the leaves and the fruit and the roots. And it turns out that nitrates and nitrites are now being advocated by cardiologists to help lower blood pressure because they stimulate the production of nitric oxide.
Okay, and I've always wanted to understand better, and you've just helped me, why it is that NitroFX causes us to produce more nitric oxide. It's a wonderful thing, and it's the fact that it's so scientific is just really great for me. Now, in Nitro Extreme, Kyani Nitro Extreme, we have additional ingredients in there that were not in NitroFX, correct? Tell me about that and why that is so helpful.
Well, there's 2 reasons. One, Nitro Extreme is really for the person who's extraordinarily active in their lives, a runner like Mike, an athlete, a super athlete, much like Michael Bershears, you know how much he runs.
Well, yeah, Michael Bershears.
Well, he travels a lot. He travels a lot.
When you said super athlete, that's what came to mind.
My mind immediately.
Exactly.
NitroFX, the basic product that's been established in this country for a long time, is very, very good at raising nitric oxide and helping to deliver, if you will, because of its vasodilation properties, tocotrienols, sunrise, sunset to all parts of the body. But Nitro Extreme has 3 or 4 added compounds: magnesium, CoQ10, niacin. Many of you don't know what these words mean, but each of them acts in a way to stimulate the endogenous production of nitric oxide throughout
I'm sorry,
our
the what
bodies.
production?
The endogenous.
Oh, the endogenous production.
See, we make a little nitric oxide every day, and these extra additives in Nitro Extreme help to generate more nitric oxide, which is especially important in an active individual.
Great.
Like a mother who's raising, a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 5-year-old.
Yeah, there's an active individual. Okay, so what is the most effective way for me to take Nitro?
I think you should take Nitro in conjunction with sunrise in the morning, sunset in the evening, and probably take Nitro midday. You've seen commercials for products where people hit a wall in the middle of the afternoon and they take a product which I won't name, but it's 5-something. And, it helps to get you through the afternoon. Shh, quiet. Not me, he said it, I didn't say it.
You get these guys together, this is what happens.
Anyway, so taking them close together is very good because you can generate the improved circulation that happens almost immediately with Nitro Effects and Nitro Extreme to help deliver these products early in the day, like sunrise, and late in the evening when your body is tending to heal itself, like sunset.
So we take them in conjunction, like, for example, a little bit before you take sunrise, maybe would be the best time to take Nitro Effects? Nitro Extreme?
They work so closely in concert, number one, and our lifestyles are so busy. That is, whenever you can take Nitro in conjunction with sunrise or sunset, I recommend you do it. If you've got a dentist appointment, you can't wait an hour or 2 hours, between doses. Take it as close to one another as you can.
Now, I've got a notation on here that I think is really interesting. It says 99% of nitric oxide converts in the stomach, not necessarily in the mouth. Help me understand that.
It's a pretty hard number. Everything that you and I chew and then swallow enters the stomach within just a few seconds. The muscles of the esophagus squeeze it and push it down into the stomach. And immediately upon exposure to hydrochloric acid in the stomach, which starts the digestion process, nitric oxide is formed from nitrates and nitrites. So a good percentage of this occurs in the stomach itself.
And then that effect lasts for like 5 to 6 hours, which I think is an amazing thing.
Yeah, the beauty of nitric oxide is that it's a gas, and a lot of scientists will say, well, if it's a gas, it only lasts 2 or 3 seconds. And Barry and Dr. Franco Marino can talk about this in detail about free radicals. But it's a gas. But once it binds to a certain enzyme in the body, the enzyme's effects last for 5 to 6 hours. So if you get a little nitric oxide, you get some profound effects that last a long time.
Great. Now, what is the connection between nitric oxide and bone health?
Nitric oxide is what our bodies use to build new bone and to prevent the tearing down of bone at too rapid a rate. So the ladies in the audience and the men who have women associated with this problem will understand what I'm talking about. Osteoporosis is too rapid a breakdown of bone. Nitric oxide actually slows that process of bone breakdown and speeds up the process of bone mineralization or recapture of calcium into bone.
Okay, well, all of us, and my wife, who's now in her 50s, talks about osteoporosis, and I know that specifically with women that becomes a thing, but men also have the need to have their bone health last a little longer than it sometimes does, so that's great to know. Now, this next question, I wish this was one of the events where we had cameras that were doing us showing up there, because I would show you a close-up of this. I'm asking this question because I have to, because it's on my list. I'm not choosing to. Are we clear? How can nitric oxide help with sexual health?
Every one of us has sexual organs, whether it's male or female, and blood flows through them continuously. In some certain circumstances, we get excited enough to need an increase in blood flow through those sexual organs. With time or with disease, blood flow goes down, and it makes it harder for those sexual organs to achieve what they might have done when you were 16, 17, 18, or 20. Nitric oxide improves blood flow, and I'll leave the rest up to your imagination.
Dr. Burke?
I will say can I add one thing? There will be no complaints by anyone in this room that the effect of nitric oxide causes a problem that you need to call your doctor about because something happens for 4 or 5 hours. Was that on your question? No, I didn't think so. Should I stop now?
You know, we were just going along having a great scientific conversation. And we took a left turn. And by the way, can I say how dangerous it is to leave it up to the imagination of this group? Okay. Excellent. Thank you. I'm glad we're done with that part. No, you got one more here. Now, talk about nitric oxide helping with mental health.
One of the most exciting things I think about being in this audience today and with this company over time is that the products taken religiously over time improve blood flow, decrease free radical formation, atherosclerosis, which is a narrowing of the blood vessel. It turns out that an enormous amount of research is piling up greatly in the last 4 months, showing that Alzheimer's disease is a process of slow and steady deterioration of blood flow. And if I may, if you have any of your family or friends who are in their 40s and do not have Alzheimer's, wouldn't it be wonderful if they started themselves with your counsel and our counsel up here on the products to help slow and maybe prevent the eventual deterioration of blood flow to the brain that leads to this catastrophic effect on family life? That's where mental health plays in for Kyani's products.
Thank you. That's very exciting. Dr. Burke, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Q-Tab, you've waited so patiently. Thank you very much. Okay. What is the state of health in the United States right now?
See, one of the things we got to understand is that most of us people living in US, we assume we have best of everything. But if you look at the World Health Organization, as a country, we are 37th in the world ranking as a healthcare delivery system.
37th?
37th in the world.
Yikes.
Yeah. There's another report which is interesting, which shows that in preventable conditions, diseases which can be preventable, which includes heart disease, cancer, a lot of these conditions, we rank actually as the lowest in all the industrialized nations. And also one of the things I think, and this is important I'm trying to explain, is not to put down a healthcare system, but what we as Kyani can play a major role as a global leader in this, what we have Triangle of Health. The other things which is important to understand is we are a culture which people take a lot of medications. 2.2 million people visit emergency places a year. Emergency in the hospital is just due to the adverse drug reactions, ADRs. And we consume about 72% of the pharmaceuticals produced in the world. This is our actual state of health.
Well, in the U.S., we consume 72% of all the world's pharmaceuticals?
That's right, and that's why we pay the price the way we do.
We're a bunch of druggies.
We got to make them Triangle of Health.
So let's cut right to the chase. How can the Kyani products improve the quality of life, here and elsewhere?
See, if you looked at what each doctor said, from free radical, controlling the free radicals, controlling the inflammatory processes, improving the circulation, if you really put together our product Triangle of Health, and I think that's why not talking on one product is essential, really combining the triangle is the key. You got a Sunrise, which is a super fruit with higher, all these antioxidants, has also complete multi-minerals, multivitamins and minerals. Then you got tocotrienols, tremendous new research coming out, tremendous research available. Then you got the sockeye salmon fish oil. With the EPA, DHA, you can spend 2 days just talking the benefits of the fish oil. And then you got the NitroFX, basically, whether you're taking NitroFX or Nitro Extreme, by increasing just one. Nitric oxide technically controls every physiological function in the body. We can talk hours on that. But just by improving the circulation, when you combine them together, you're making the assimilation and utilization better. So when you combine these things, you got a powerful product which is no parallel out there.
And we have then a massive group of distributors who could be leaders in the wellness industry.
I really believe that. I believe that, and that's what I'm targeting even my talk for tomorrow on heart disease, which is the global #1 condition worldwide now. I personally believe that each distributor, beside making a better lifestyle, for their, which, I mean, I would be happy to change my position with Becky, when she showed me the numbers she's making. But beside that,
Dr. Q-Tap,
world need doctors, right?
You may be cute, okay? But I don't think the switch is going to work.
I know. Just an idea I'm throwing.
Okay. I'm just saying.
But beside that, I tell you this thing. By simply applying the sunrise, nitrofex, and the sunset combination, you got a perfect model which people are looking for. People are looking for because this we can solve as a preventable, as a preventable solution. We can really solve not only problems in the US, but globally.
So there you heard why we should take the Kyani Triangle of Health. There it is right there. How should I take it? Give me some specifics on how I should partake of the Triangle of Health.
I agree with Dr. Burke on that, basically, and that's how I do it. So I always tell patients, I tell you what I do. I take the nitrofex, then I follow with the sunrise. See, one of the things also, it is advantage is also taking it together, because one of the things you have to make your people who are taking these products their life easy. Some of the instructions, I know they say you can wait half an hour. It becomes impractical. Plus, the other advantage, keep in mind, is when you take in the morning, the sunrise, when you take nitrofex followed by sunrise, some of the polyphenols which are found in the sunrise, which are the beneficial part of the ingredients found in the Alaskan blueberries, they actually enhance the production of nitric oxide further. So the combination is better. I also, when you have a hard day, if you're going through more stress, then I take sunrise more. Plus along with the with the nitrofex. So I recommend personally to take nitrofex actually in the afternoon as a pickup, and you can take a sunrise again, and in the evening then I take nitrofex and sunset.
So taking a little bit more is not harmful, and in fact, if you had an extra stressful, hard day, it's good, and the fact we take them all together is an absolute act of synergy, and synergistic effect will occur. Okay, right. Great. Now, I want you to hold on to that mic for a minute. Sure. I'm going to come back here to Dr. Francomano, but you keep that because I'll be back to you in a second. Okay?
Sure.
Okay, Dr. Francomano, what is Kyani Health Triangle's role in traditional medicine?
Well, if we're talking about sort of Western medicine, what we call allopathic medicine that all of us are kind of used to, I think one of the reasons that we have these statistics that Dr. Q-Tab is talking about is that we really have not emphasized the role of nutrition in optimal health in our medical school education and nursing education and so on. And so we are kind of leading the way. I really believe that Kyani's on the cutting edge now. And that as distributors go to their physicians and bring all the information that's out there about the science behind these products, we're going to be educating a whole new generation of physicians.
You can still hold it. Just give me it. So when you say on the cutting edge, you mean we're kind of ahead of the curve, and they will be catching up. They will be learning about this a little bit more in traditional medical circles as well.
I absolutely believe that.
Okay, great. Now, how can... We're distributors, we're just regular guys. We didn't do the Tocofroco, PhDs and things. How can we share this message like intelligently without a medical degree or some other kind of degree?
Well, I think it's our goal to share this information in a way that's understandable and communicable, and to give tools to the distributors to have them on the website and make it available so that you can all talk about this in a very easy way.
Thank you very much. I've got a couple questions to end with, but first of all, you have all done that very thing for us. We understand much more clearly now than perhaps we did before, and in fact, we can share this message without the degrees and the other things that you have to help us, and I really, really appreciate that. Okay, Dr. Q-Tap, how can the Kyani Triangle of Health Triangle, create wellness, create it?
Why me? That's the first question. Why the last question is for me? I'm just kidding.
Because that's what it says.
Why me, God, right?
Because you're the head guy.
Okay.
See?
Keep in mind, See, the more, it's back to going to what they were saying. For all the major health conditions in the world, right? All the conditions start with a preventable model. You know, there's a saying in Chinese, there's a saying I read a long time ago, you know, it's like digging a well when you're thirsty, or lodging a weapon when the war has begun. So what I feel, Kyani, is that if we start introducing the triangle of health, we start introducing the benefits of these three products combined, what they can do, we can really change the world. You know, heart disease, 1.6 million Americans die each year with that. That is preventable. You know, so when you look at some of these conditions, what we can play a major role, and what I think is personally, that each one of you as a distributor is not only a distributor of Kyani's, is a wellness, wellness ambassador to me. So the triangle of health, if implemented properly, can make a dramatic change, basically, not in US, but all over.
Okay, do we have any risk of kidney or hepatic failure for taking the triangle for a determined period of time? Who can tell me that? I think the answer is no.
Absolutely no.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Absolutely no.
You can't overdo on any of these. I mean, especially with I know with the noni plant, somebody was talking about the research that has, we have more time, I can answer that later outside. Basically, there's no research which shows with what we have, basically. And you can't, if you overtake Nitrofex, drink 2 bottles of that, it's all converted, what the body generates nitric oxide, the rest of that is converted back into nitrates and nitrites, and you pee it out. So you'll have an expensive urine, that's all. But no danger to it.
Pee is a medical word.
What? It's not a medical word. What is your PhD in? PhD, never mind. I couldn't, I'm sorry. Okay, I know that we don't have any prescribed children's doses. Is there anything you'd like to say about that? Should children...
Well, you know, in today's USA Today, there was an article interesting about the obesity in children, quite higher. And keep in mind what the terms they were using, you know, atherosclerosis, where the arteries are getting clogged and all that. That starts pretty early, in teens almost. So with the children, I believe the way the current healthcare status is, the obesity is there. Combining these 3 products with a proper lifestyle and diet and exercise, we have a good model actually to change the children's life. So when they are older, you know, 60, 70, 80 years ago, later, they won't have the dementia, they won't have the Alzheimer, they won't have the heart disease. So you can really make a big change even in children's life.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay. This takes care of all the questions I have for you. Do any of you have any questions for me? I didn't think so. Ladies and gentlemen, our superb medical advisors, Dr. Frank Amano, Dr. Tan, Dr. Burke, and Dr. Q-Tab.